One of the most difficult areas to understand for many researching the extraterrestrial phenomenon is the fact that a huge number of varying extraterrestrial races feature in the testimonies of various whistleblowers and contactees. Differentiating between these extraterrestrial races, their physical appearances, their motivations, and their activities is essential for those who want to fully understand the extraterrestrial phenomenon. A wide variety of traditions and ancient texts describe how a number of space travelers were creators of cities, cultures, and civilizations on Earth, and that human beings received vast knowledge from them that was useful for their development and for the planet's evolution. Indeed, these visitors imparted teachings of light and wisdom, and there is much evidence of this fact. Many of them were considered gods, and were respected and venerated. And that is how the first races were born. An untold number of these beings from the stars were called angels, seraphim, Elohim, space travelers, or extraterrestrials. The Andromedan extraterrestrials take their name from the galaxy of Andromeda, their current home, which is located 2.5 million light-years from our solar system. The Andromedans were accepted into the Galactic Federation some 3 million years ago, and they are known to be supremely intelligent beings who excel in the field of science. They are known as beings of the blue galaxy. As we can see, throughout history, depictions of beings of light, or gods, are represented with bluish skin tones in India, Siam, and Egypt. This extraterrestrial race belongs to the fifth dimension, and, comparatively, their spiritual evolution is 4,700 years more advanced than that of humans today, and their technology is 10,000 years more advanced than that of our current technology. The Andromedans are described as beings particularly known for their benevolence, a characteristic that links them to the Pleiadians. Often, they have exercised the role of guardians of the peace, and, as beings belonging to a superior dimension, they oppose the empire of the globalist elite, and the enslavement it seeks. It is said that another race of Andromedans are beings whose appearance is similar to that of terrestrial humans, but they are taller, and some are Nordic-looking, whilst others have a more Mediterranean look. Their eyes are slightly elongated, and their faces are very thin, with a somewhat triangular chin. Generally speaking, they wear the traditional multi-colored uniform of the Galactic Federation. The Andromedans have always been very experienced scientists and great explorers. The stellar nation of Andromeda is one of the most ancient inside of the Galactic Confederation of Light, and many ascended masters lived their last terrestrial lives in bodies from Andromeda. It is also said that a group of blue beings reside in the Patagonia area. These are extraterrestrial beings who have a connection with the legendary city of Urks, which is connected to Agati, found in the hollow Earth, in the depths of our planet. American author Alex Collier is among those who have been contacted by beings from Andromeda, and he confirms of their varying visual characteristics. In other words, some having blue skin, blue eyes and blonde hair, whilst others having a more Asian-looking appearance with black hair and dark eyes. In 1980, in South Africa, citizen James Forber had direct contact with an extraterrestrial being, who visited him at his house. This being was dressed in a very strange silver suit, and claimed to come from the planet Instria. After a few days had passed, this being visited him at home once again. And, on that occasion, he took Forber and two friends who were with him at the house to his spaceship. Inside the ship was a female being, called Mai. Both of these extraterrestrial beings explained to James Forber that they came from Andromeda. They had come to Earth to share the knowledge that it was their race that had brought the humanoid prototype to planet Earth millions of years ago, and it was called Adam Cadman. Similarly, Eleftherio Bravo and Mariano Arabas, former Spanish Catholic priests in Chile, were expelled by the Church in 1969, due to their contacts with beings from Andromeda, and their recounts of the Andromedan plan to help humanity during the end times. This began in Chile in 1969, and their first contact lasted nearly 13 years. But their contacts stopped for a while, although the beings promised that they would return. Once 30 years had passed, in May 2012, in Uruguay, where the men had been living since 1978, they had another contact with the beings of Andromeda. There is also the case of an internationally respected Mexican university professor, who was also member of the Mexican Commission for Atomic Energy, known as Dr. Hernandez, who in 1972 had contact with a young human-looking woman from the galaxy of Andromeda. The being displayed more advanced intellectual knowledge than the acclaimed scientist within the scientific fields they spoke about, and she also led him to make scientific advancements in his own medical research in the field of immunology. The woman was fair-skinned and 1.9 meters tall, with dark black hair. The particular case was researched by US ufologist Wendell Stevens and Australian author Michael Salla. Another case is that of Mark Kimmel, a US entrepreneur, with a successful career managing large corporations, with degrees in engineering, marketing, finance and psychology. He also had contact with beings from Andromeda at the end of the 1990s. Since 1997, he has received telepathic messages. "I receive them," he says, "just as I am falling asleep. They come from someone who calls himself Bren Tun, and he is from Andromeda. He tells me that the energy we all receive and give to other humans, animals and plants, plays an important role in our life. We feel other people's energy, and we behave as a consequence of it. We, who are your brothers and sisters of the cosmos, await your ascension to levels of consciousness where we can interact with you directly. We speak for the many beings of Andromeda, and also for those beings of the Pleiades and Sirius. We have all assisted humans of planet Earth, as you have emerged from the early stages of third-dimensional physical embodiment, to where you are now, on the brink of embracing higher levels of consciousness. The Pleiades is a group of stars situated some 400 light-years from Earth, and they are also known as the Seven Sisters. Yet only 6 brilliant stars can be seen with the naked eye in the night sky. Our Sun also forms part of the Pleiades and is the 8th star. It orbits the Sun Alcyon, the central star of the Pleiades, approximately every 24,000 years. The Pleiadians are considered our elder siblings, and they watch over humanity. However, they do not intervene in the evolution of our planet, because they respect free will. However, over time, they have contacted human beings, to offer them their help, and those contacted individuals include Swiss contactee Billy Meier, and American writer Barbara Machiniak. The renowned contactee Billy Meier became an expert on the Pleiadians. He was contacted by a woman named Semyase, from the planet Era. Semyase's age at that time was 330 years old. She explained to him that her age is less than half the normal lifespan for her race. She also explained to him how space travel works, and recounted learning foreign languages on a mothership that was 16 kilometers long, as well as discussing teleportation and androids. The Pleiadians believe in God, and they often reference the law of one, and treat human beings as their equals. They are characteristically tall beings, whose average height ranges between 1.8 meters and 2.3 meters. They predominantly have white skin, blonde hair and blue eyes, although some Pleiadians are said to have brown hair and green eyes. They are commonly known as the Nordics. The Pleiadians from Taygeta and Maya are purely benevolent beings, who are respectful of other races, and they possess a huge degree of spiritual wisdom and technological knowledge. Similarly, Dr. Fred Bell, a U.S. engineer and former rocket scientist at NASA, describes in moving detail all his wonderful encounters with beings from the faraway star system of the Pleiades, and how they have been coming to the Earth for eons, to help with our planetary growth, and to integrate us into the stellar community of advanced worlds. These beings are giving us technology which can take us to the depths of the stars in a matter of minutes. In the 1970s, Bell became well known as a contactee, claiming that he too had had contact with Semyarsay, the extraterrestrial being from the Pleiades, the same contact of Swiss national Billy Meier. Bell went to Egypt, where he met Semyarsay, and received a book containing information about science and technology of the Pleiades. Semyarsay told him that it was his mission to help share the technology of the Pleiades with humanity on Earth. This sharing of technology was authorized by the Intergalactic Council of Andromeda. She told him that the Pleiadians were trying to activate human wisdom. We also know that, in the field of ufology, in-depth research on the various kinds of extraterrestrial beings that exist confirms the fact that these beings have a morphology which is practically identical to that of human beings. There are cases in which these beings are so similar to human beings that if they were dressed in terrestrial clothes, they could pass as human beings along our streets without raising suspicions. Costa Rican contactee Enrique Castillo spent a long time with beings who came from the Pleiades, and for several years, he received amazing knowledge. In his book Contact with the Pleiades, U.S. contactee Preston B. Nichols describes how the Pleiadians of Aldebaran come from the constellation of Taurus. The information Nichols presents coincides with that provided by German contactee, Martin Wiesengrun. They both described him as being of Caucasian appearance, 2.3 meters tall, with brown, red, or even blue hair, and living for more than 4,700 terrestrial years. They do not follow the code of non-interference as strictly as practiced by other Pleiadian groups, as occasionally they come to our planet to rescue some of their own, as they are very protective of their Pleiadian brothers. They also perform other acts of intervention. Wiesengrun describes those from Aldebaran as beings of action, warriors. They are quite active in their approach. He had contact with the Aldebarans from the planet Uru, who also have a European-type appearance and are only 1.7 meters tall. Some of these beings also have brown skin. In 1969, there was a unique case in La Coruña, Spain. Siblings Olga and Manuel Lombao Iglesias, who were only 5 and 7 years old respectively, saw a light descending at high speed outside a local store. They entered the store to warn the people who were there, but found them all in a frozen or paralyzed state, similar to a state of suspended animation. From a tubular extension that descended from the base of the ship, stepped two figures the size of human adults, clad in a tight-fitting pilot's suit. These beings took the children inside their ship where they saw a room with numerous monitors. They told Olga, whilst showing them her star map, that they came from the Aldebaran star system. They told her that they would see each other again in the future.